Hello, everyone! Azmaria here! My lectures, which have guided you through the world of the Chrono Crusade anime, come to an end with this installment. The final theme is the Head of Pandemonium. If you'll recall, during the last lecture, I told you that the Head of Pandemonium is actually the head of the fallen angel Lucifer. In other words, Lucifer is Pandemonium, which means the devil's domain itself. Therefore, taking her head would destroy that entire world. So by killing Pandemonium, Aion not only set the destruction of the balance between heaven and earth in motion, but he also began to encroach on the world between, the world of humans. You see, in order for him to achieve his goal, it was essential for Aion to have Pandemonium's head. He needed it because the head contains all of the violence and wisdom that surrounded the 7 deadly sins, and the world of humans, being strongly influenced by materialism, can be controlled by these sins. The 7 deadly sins are generally known as pride, wrath, envy, sloth, lust, greed, and gluttony. These are the 7 sins that are committed by people who have gone astray, and they are also regarded as the sins that have been atoned for by Jesus' crucifixion. Any way you look at it, it is plain to see that our world has experienced many unpleasant events. And as we discussed in the last lesson, the pact that exists between God and the devils continues to guide the fate of man. In other words, the conflict between the polar opposites of heaven and hell is what drives the events that occur in the world between, the world in which we live. After World War I, a surge of prosperity gave way to the Roaring Twenties. It was the first era of the 20th century to be filled with the 7 deadly sins. Ultimately, it could very well be that this series of incidents was set off by God with the intention of sending us a warning. Perhaps it was an attempt to stop us from spiraling downward into corruption, to prevent us from setting off World War II. But it can also be said that Aion's plans for Rosette were achieved. He made her the holy woman and gathered the power of faith. Then he directed it toward violence and destruction. The true purpose of this test might be to see what we learn from this event and how we handle our recovery. If so, then it could be said that the sacrifice is too great. I suppose what I'm saying is that if the only way we can be expected to learn something is through sacrifice, then that raises a question in my mind. What do we humans mean to God? In order to find an answer to that question, I think that I will start by trying to do my absolute best on my own. I'll do it for Rosette and Chrono and Miss Satella and Mr. Steiner and Joshua, too. Well then, my lectures, which have now lasted for 11 classes, will end here. And I would like to thank everyone very much for joining me. Huh? But wait, there's supposed to be a lesson for every 2